Well, last night in this chamber, we heard a bloviating, self-congratulatory speech full of exaggerations, half-truths, and outright falsehoods. The president pretended to have addressed or was going to address concerns the American people. He said he's taken care of prescription drugs. Yeah, really, they haven't done a damn thing. We've sent a bill to the Senate. It's sitting there. Second, he said, we're going to protect pre-existing conditions. Funny thing, his attorney general is in court arguing that those pre-existing conditions should no longer be protected. But hey, what the heck? And then he did devote one sentence to infrastructure. What happened to the $2 trillion plan he campaigned on and carries on about all the time? Well, so far he's only proposed cuts. But one issue of vital concern to the American people that is a focus this week, this is National Gun Violence Survivors Week, did not receive a single mention by the president, despite the fact that several common sense, bipartisan reforms and programs have passed this House and have received no action in the Senate in a year. H.R. 8, the Bipartisan Comprehensive Background Checks Act, passed on February 27th. No action in the Senate. The Enhanced Background Checks Act passed February 28th, bipartisan. Again, no action in the Senate. You know, every year, guns are sold to people who aren't supposed to have them, including at that horrible church shooting a couple of years ago, because of a mandate that if there's confusion over a background check, they have to get the gun within 3 days. And over the last 10 years, 35,000 guns, because of that provision, were sold to people who were not qualified under federal law to have the guns. And guess what? Then the feds contact the FBI, who screwed up the background check, contacts the local law enforcement and says, hey, go get the gun from that felon, endangering our local law enforcement. This would plug that loophole. The Violence Against Women Act, reauthorization, passed April 4th. No action in the Senate. And for the first time in 20 years, we're going to do some research on gun violence. There's other bills we should be doing. In my state, we've adopted red flag laws. And over here, they say, well, we can't have red flag laws for abusers because they're constitutional rights. Well, we've set it up in a way that we've had 160 petitions for red flag restrictions. Most of them, actually the majority, were for people at risk of suicide. And then a minority were for abusive relationships. And 32 of those were denied by a judge. Due process was followed, but lives were saved. But no, we can't take that up. Bump stocks? We banned fully automatic weapons decades ago. Bump stocks essentially turn a semi-automatic into a very inaccurate, nearly full automatic in terms of rate of fire. But if you're shooting at a stadium full of people, it doesn't matter how inaccurate it is, you're going to hit a lot of people. We can't even bring up legislation, or, well, the Republicans won't support legislation to ban bump stocks, hate crimes legislation. The list goes on. Just one other quick issue. You can go online to armslist.com, and if you are not eligible to buy a gun, you can get one. It's very evident. There's been study after study done. Actually, many of the people selling guns on armlist.com are felons and not allowed to own firearms, and they will sell to other felons. It will say no background check necessary, will cross state lines, all sorts of things like that. All those things need to be banned. Those are common sense gun violence reforms. And in this week, just really this week, National Gun Violence Survivors Week, let's do something to end the bloodshed.